Welcome to Crafted Dialogues, where we talk about the power of fiction and the mystery of storytelling. I am your host, Jazim. Thank you for watching. Hi, I am Jazim, and this is my debut podcast, Crafted Dialogues, where we look at thriller novels and interesting things surrounding them. And I would also try to bring you facts about certain authors that you may not know. But today is a different day. It's the 9th of August 2025, and I've just released my debut novel, The Monsoon of the Covenant. It's available on Amazon to download for Kindle, and it is also available in paperback and in hardcover. I began writing Monsoon of the Covenant as a pet project. I did not know I'd ever get it published, but here I am today, and you'd have access to it as well. I hope I have not disappointed you in my writing, and I hope you can give us some good comments. The story takes place in Kandy, around a plot by the LTTE to steal the sacred tooth relic of Lord Buddha, which is housed safely in the Dalada Maligawa, Kandy. The LTTE want to take possession of the sacred tooth relic and then subsequently lay claim to their own state nation, which they had been fighting for almost 2 decades by that time. The story explores deep emotional characters of strength, of betrayal, of bravery, and how some of the critical people in Sri Lanka came together to safeguard which Sri Lankans consider one of their most prized treasures. As it was my debut novel, and as a debut writer, I was asked quite a few interesting questions by the readership who read it as its final manuscript. I thought I'll bring some of those questions to you and see what you think of the answers. No, most definitely not. But however, after we got to the first draft, the people who were helping me with the initial very non-serious writing thought there was a story within the first draft, and we developed it. We had to go through 10 drafts. I had to put in so much of effort into writing 10 drafts, and then the final manuscript, and then we published it. In Sri Lanka, one of the very few countries in the world where we use the elephant as part of a cultural celebration. And it's unusual that a 4,000 kilo animal gets commanded by a 100-kilo man and is taken in pageantry. It's amazing the way these animals behave with all those lights and colors and people and the noise of drums and music. They're just so humble and beautiful to watch. Besides the fact that as a Sri Lankan, almost everyone loves elephants. That was my inspiration. I have a special affection for Singharaja. That is what I've portrayed in the book. The first draft, when I finished it, it was a completely different story. The plot was the same, the story was completely different. It had a larger time frame. So I was initially advised to bring the time frame shorter and shorter. And when we got to about the 5th, 6th draft, we could get to publishing. But after the 6th draft, I was on a very short leash to build the thriller aspects and safeguard the religious sensitivities within the book. By the time we got to the 8th draft, we knew we were going to publish the book, and 9th and 10th drafts were final bits of edits which the editor had to take a look at, and that was it. But the final 10th draft, when we had the 10th draft, we knew we were ready to publish. My main objective when I thought we were going to publish this story, my main objective was to create nostalgia in people who lived through that era. For the readership who actually lived through that era, not even local Sri Lankans, even people around the world who may have read this story, people around the world who may have visited Sri Lanka, who may have been to the Perahara. I just wanted to bring a very nostalgic memory because the characters I have written about in the book have been some of the most powerful characters in Sri Lanka. They are very well known in Sri Lanka. Even to date, they are still spoken about. And I must say, I think I did justice portraying all of the characters, the protagonists and the antagonists, in the best ability I was able to do. Okay, that's a tough question. Being a thriller reader, I get to pick and choose what I want to read. But when it came to writing, as an unqualified debutante writer, I was on my own for the first draft. I did not know how to construct the story, how to bring the plot together, how to deliver characters' emotions, how to tie loose ends, plot continuity. After the first draft, when I sat down with the editor, I could not answer any question he asked me because I wrote this story out of passion. So I don't think a thriller reader makes you a thriller writer. You have to learn how to write. And I had to learn it the hard way. And I had to push myself to the limits that I did not know existed within me. I hope I did a pretty decent job. The Monsoon of the Covenant. What does the title mean? After about the second draft, I was getting ready to look for a title. I needed something that conveyed the message, but I also did not want the reader to get the message the first time. When the reader finishes the book, that is when the reader understands what the title means. But just like all monsoons, the protagonists and the antagonists go through a lot of changes like the weather. The covenant is something that exists within the story. That is how I arrived at the final decision of the title. The hardest part of the book was to keep the customs and religious rituals authentic, explain them to the Western reader, and to keep the pacing. I still don't know whether I did the best I could have done in that department. But I've tried my best to keep the pacing and to make the reader understand exactly what went on during that time and exactly what goes on inside the temple. Whether this book could be further developed when it comes to pacing, I don't know. It's yet to be seen, but it is what it is. Oh, the plot is real. The story is almost real. The people that are spoken about in the story went through a very similar experience. That was fascinating to see that almost everything came in line with what I had imagined how the story should go. Some of the things very coincidentally came right for me. A lot of these are spoilers that I can't give away. Well, the early readers of the book, except for two, were from England. I had to test the water to see how they really felt. I had to have a glossary in the book so that people understand some of the very local terms that come in the book. But other than that, they were actually fascinated that this story was almost real and was almost plausible. That was the reaction I got. Of course, a lot of people had a lot of things to say about pacing, and sometimes they did not like certain parts of the book, just like any reader would. But overall, when we had the final draft done, I thought I tried to satisfy as many people as I could. and the verdict was we could go to publish. So here we are. The first draft of the Monsoon of the Covenant took about 6 months. The 10th draft took about a year and 2 months since I started writing. I'm working on 3 future projects. The Robe of the Covenant, The Merchant of Petta. Both of the stories are set in Sri Lanka. The Robe of the Covenant is set in 1950s, 1960s. It's a thriller story surrounding around the death of the then Prime Minister SWRD Bandaranayake, his assassination. That is called The Robe of the Covenant. The other project, which has also finished its first draft, is called The Merchant of Petta. The Merchant of Petta is a thriller novel written around the lifetime of President Premadasa. This is more of a longer span of time, and the first draft is ready, and we're still looking at how we're going to take the story forward. And just to take a break from Sri Lanka, something I thought I was inspired to be a bit more creative in my writing is this book called Downs of Silence. The first draft is done. The book talks about 2 women in 2 different eras looking for one missing girl. It's a very deeply emotional book and deals with a lot of psychological aspects of human life. Those, I hope, would be my projects in the next 2 to 3 years. Thank you for watching my debut podcast. I hope you get to read Monsoon of the Covenant, and I hope you can come and tell me how it was. I enjoyed my time writing Monsoon of the Covenant. It took me to a place that I did not know existed within me. I pushed myself to the limits I did not know existed within me. It gave me a new dimension in life. I write now as opposed to reading. I hope you like this, and I hope you would support me in my other projects. I would be continuing this podcast, like I said before, reviewing thriller novels that you would like to read. I'd bring you interesting things about them that you might like to pick up that book and read. I'll also talk of things that might pique your interest. But thank you for watching my debut podcast.